Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to Afrowanders. So this episode I'm doing something a little different. I'm introducing a new installment of Afrowanders called The Weekly What's Goods, where I tell you what's good. So they're pretty much just gonna be these updates of life and just daily life, weekly life here in the Netherlands, and even when we start traveling, I'll continue. But I just want to tell y'all kind of how things are going here, on a consistent basis instead of just putting out something every couple of weeks or every month. I think for a lot of reasons I want to do this, and I named it the What's Goods because everything ain't gonna be good. Everything that I tell you ain't good. Some things ain't gonna be great. Some things ain't even gonna be bad. But in the end, it's all good, right? So the number one reason I want to do this is so that you can get to know me better, so we can better connect. We can talk about all the travel topics in the world, all the places you've been, but I think there's actual human connection that needs to be built on here, and that's happened over time, but it can happen better if I make myself a little more vulnerable and open to you. I think it'll go both ways. So that's the number one reason I want to do this. The second reason is that I want to stay in touch much better than I have with you guys, because while a lot of travel is restricted, that doesn't mean there's not much to talk about. There's always things going on, and for myself during the pandemic, it's easy for myself. I don't need much excuse to kind of just lean into myself, not completely become a hermit, but just stay to my own. And I know a lot of other people are like that, so I think being able to tell you guys what's good on a consistent basis will help us stay in touch, because while I think a lot of good has come from kind of leaning into myself, I'm sure you'd say the same for yourself, it's not so good for the connection to stay. It's gonna help me keep myself accountable too, and also just keep, like I said, building on that connection here. And lastly, a lot of people have been asking for information on moving abroad, especially people in the States, but people all over. They're just curious what the process was like, but also, every one of these videos isn't gonna focus on that for sure, but it will focus on my kind of weekly life and just the things surrounding me in the Netherlands. And I think it'll give a lot of information indirectly just about what it's like to move abroad and the adaptation process. So I think that could do some good. In everything that I say every week, everything's gonna be a little different, but I think you can pick little things out of each one. So I just wanna be an open book for you so that you can get what you need from it. And yeah, that's pretty much my reasons for doing this. So since I formed Afrowanders a year ago and did my initial introduction, a lot's changed. Personal life and just in the world in general, obviously. And I haven't done a reintroduction since then, so allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Zecharias Fasica. I'm an Ethiopian, born and raised in the States, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Bull City. And my parents, they moved to the States just, 5-6 years before I was born. So yeah, I was born and raised there. So ethnically, I'm Ethiopian. Nationally, I'm American. And I went to school there in North Carolina, born and raised, and at some point I just had to get out. And I took a lot of different avenues to try to get out, and I tell this story in another video about moving out of the States. That video, if it's not out yet, should be out soon. I've already recorded it, so just subscribe to the channel, you'll know when it comes out. So eventually I finagled my way to the Netherlands, and I live here now for about 1.5 years. I love it here. It's a beautiful country, beautiful city, but I had no idea anything about the Netherlands when I first moved here. I was like, I think it's inside of Amsterdam, but obviously that's not true. I live in Utrecht, which is this city just south of there. Dutch people, if you're watching this, are probably laughing at my accent, but whatever. And since moving to the Netherlands, I've traveled to, I think, like 14 or 15 countries, and that's just within like the time that I could travel. Obviously with COVID last year, God, I mean, I'd probably be at like 30 something by now, but yeah, all that got shut down, obviously. But it's all good because there's still so much just within this country and just neighboring countries that I haven't seen, and just so many natural beauties. So I'm really happy to be here during this time. And one thing to know is that I had a really strong interest and hobby in photography and filmmaking. I hadn't done too much on the filmmaking side before, but we made some stuff back home. And after moving here, I was like, damn, I still want to create. And it's just me right now. I don't have my support system. So it's kind of the reason why I decided to start a travel vlog. And the topic that I chose was about black travel. It's about what it's like to travel as a black person and just everything surrounding that, because I realized, at least in the community that I'm from, and I know a lot of other black communities, at least in the States, you worry a lot about things that you might not need to worry about. Like in your own country, in my own country, I'm worried about just driving a couple of states over. I'm like, damn, I'm not really trying to drive through Mississippi. And I'm from North Carolina, so it's like, sometimes I don't even want to drive to the countryside in my own state, because I don't know what I'm gonna find, and I don't know how people are gonna look at me. So you can imagine if people feel that way in their own country about going overseas, if you've never been overseas to another country before, because America's just one big ass island, right? So going to another country, there's a lot to be concerned about. You're just not sure. So when I go to these countries, I realize, like, okay, there's not really much to be worried about. And I don't know beforehand, but in general, I kind of get the concept now. I get the idea. So I want to make videos showing people, like, it's okay. I mean, first of all, it's okay to be concerned. It's completely natural, but on the other hand, don't let it stop you from exploring the world. Don't let it stop you from doing what feels right inside and traveling, because traveling really does just change your mindset. It changes everything about life, So I always encourage travel, especially among black people, because there's just not enough of that. I don't see it enough when I go travel. I see it on Instagram sometimes a lot, they got pages, but when I'm out there, I just don't see it, you know what I mean? So I want to encourage that more, to the point where it's just a normal thing, where people don't stare at you because they're like, wait, what are they doing here? No, it's going to be a normal thing in the near future, and I want to help perpetuate that, you know what I mean? I want to pick that up. So that's the main reason for starting the page, and a lot of other things have developed along the way, but that was the initial reason. Now I'm going to give you an update of all the content that's to come out really soon, among many other things. First thing, I told you there's a lot of demand about moving out of the States or wherever you are. So I'm going to make a couple of different videos, one about my personal process of moving out of the States, and I'm going to break them up into sections. So I'm going to make it one about that, one about my arrival to the Netherlands, things that I had to adapt to, also just my home life, like actually in the crib. Things change when you move to a new place, in the house as well as outside. Also I'm going to talk about, like, in general, just ways of moving out of the States, because I obviously had to figure that out. I went through the process of, like, trying to explore all avenues, so I'm making a video about that. I got a few more Afro reviews of places that I've been that I haven't made Afro reviews about yet, like Poland, Southern Italy, and a few other places. And lastly, what I'm most excited about are these black-owned business interviews that I did. So if you go back a couple videos, I made one here in the Netherlands about this bar owner in Amsterdam called Labyrinth. And my man Sam, the bar owner, he's amazing. He has an incredible story, so you should watch it if you haven't. And I did the interview kind of by myself, but when I went back home, I did a gang of black-owned business interviews back home, and I had my squad with me, so we actually, I really like the way they came out, so I'm excited for that. So stay tuned for those. And the purpose of those are always to either inspire, inform, or entertain, and also to highlight these black-owned businesses, because these are amazing places to invest in, to put your time and money into, and just to experience. I mean, in general, like they provide amazing services, and yeah, I definitely want to just put that on the forefront. So other than that, I'm also excited about, I'm making videos about my worst travel experiences. So like this, the worst ones that I've had. I feel like we glamorize travel all the time, which, it should be to some degree, but you still got to keep it real. You still got to tell you what's good. So I made videos, a couple of different stories where I just tell the story, like from my view, from my point of view at the time. And yeah, I just like telling stories too, so I hope you enjoy those. Those are kind of wild. And when these videos come out, including this one, one thing that I love that's developed is that in my Afro views specifically, it ends up becoming like a forum for discussions on like for racial international dialogue. So, you know, people that are locals in that country, they're gonna say their piece about what I said or what they think about the racial relations in their country. People that have visited will say what they think about their experience, and people that are just curious to go and to know, you know, they say what they have to say. So, and you know, people ask questions, people answer, I do too. So I really love what it's becoming, and YouTube does a good job of filtering out all the racist comments, because definitely get those. If you ever think that racism doesn't exist, I'll show you the held for review comments. I'm glad that you don't have to see them, but if you're curious, it's there. So any comments that I make in the future, I mean this one as well, say your piece, leave a comment. I really love when these types of conversations are being had, because it's only going to help us connect better, which I think in the long run is going to be really good. And I think it's a beautiful thing when open, healthy dialogue happens about race, because a lot of people, everybody has their own thoughts about it around the world or in their own country, their local territory. So, but you know, a lot of people just don't feel comfortable saying it unless invited to. So here's an informal invitation to discuss, shine your light, say your piece, let's chat it up, and let's connect. So leave a comment below. All right, in the next What's Good, I'm gonna actually tell you about my weekly personal life, how things have been since I've come back from the States. I went back to the States for the holidays, and I've been back for about a month, so I'm gonna give you the scoop on that, tell you what's good, and now I'm gonna tell you more about the Netherlands and just how things have been with the pandemic recently and how I'm dealing with that. So it's a little more personal take on things instead of just general travel stuff, and I hope you enjoy. I hope that helps us connect better. So other than that, man, I really appreciate y'all watching. Leave a comment below, share, like it if you did, put that thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Other than that, man, I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Peace.